This is something that is a blessing in disguise. And I think the most beautiful things are things that happen unexpectedly. Yet again, we continue. And as we continue, my good friend and artist Bongo is just reflecting to me about the importance of being aware of indwesses from a band, especially when they are too quick to offer izinto to us and we don't see what drives them ukuba mabayenze laa nto. And Bongo, just off the recording, you talked about into edibene nentlonti, and I just want to reflect first of all on le nto that at one point nam ndade ndazifumana in a position wena Bongo where I saw abanye abantu falling into the trap of intlonti. And it might be funny at that moment, you don't also consider the long-term effects of land. So I don't want to be like ndingumntu oyiphakamisela into yochaya or so on, but I've seen people who had the intentions of trying something out, but because ababantu who gave them lendo had other demolishing meanings behind ubanika lendo, umntu didn't get lendo in its purest form, ye wayifumana idityaniswe nezinye iziyobisi. So this conversation ignited something in, we don't talk often about the people that are addicted to certain drugs or any form of substance that did not play a part in that addiction, but rather ngokukhula kwethu and us wanting to experience certain things, because we have this thing called peer pressure. And obviously when you're a teenager, you want to please your peers because that age requires that. You want to be rebellious towards your adults and you also want to conform to what your peers are doing. But then we need to also expand and think about the long-term effects that we are going to get from the decisions that we are making. So I just want to shine a light on those who, irregardless of whether they did find themselves in those positions, because it can be hard. And these things are done by people who we call our friends, sometimes our family as well.
And I don't think I want to smoke something that's mixed with something else. Or I don't want to go in and smoke a plant that you didn't see got rolled up. You didn't see what was being rolled up. So I think that was a lesson for me as well. For me, but to be careful next time. But no, bro, you just don't just smoke with anyone and everyone. Because a friend of mine once told me that, weed away, bro, but it attracts bad company sometimes. So you must be wary of where it takes you, wherever.
Quite wary, dog. It's just this constant struggle, boy. And I also fumane opportunity now uyozifaka in those shoes. I think a lot of things change for you, and some things you just can't accept. Mamela, this is the narrative that I want. I've also lived in a reality where Umdu has never ever delved in any form of substance. Then a depressive situation maybe in their family, and we don't talk often about these struggles that we are facing as young black men and women at the disadvantage that we start at, Bongo. It's on a different level. Like Park always was trying to ignite that in his work about why does a black child have to start with nothing and other people have to start with something. You see, so I'm trying to change the narrative in that kind of way. But Mamela, the black child, even though he's in a position where he doesn't have something, there's an advantage anai wherever he goes. If he decides or if she decides to work from their gift, then they don't have to chase validation. They don't have to chase value from other people. Hence why we need to question our history, because it's not being told from the narrative of our people. There's a reason why it's being told this kind of way. And once we can unlock the past of who we were, then we don't have to conform on the ways of the 21st century, because they're not doing us any good. They're not bringing us any closer to who we are. Hence why now there's this narrative amongst older people to say, but the young people are so misguided. That is taking away from the others who are guided, the others who are also still abiding by that kind of law. And I think we as African people are going to continue to suffer if we are continuing to live by the Western standards. Standards that were not set for us to succeed. Is that a narrative that we are going to tell our own kids? I'm a father now. Am I going to continue to tell my child the same lies that they continue being told? Because that's the reality we live in. Are we going to continue to condition our kids to conform? Tell them, no, you can't be this kind of way, because what? You're afraid, but they are gonna bring attention to you. What happened to that community? That responsibility that we as Africans had? Hence this morning, I was listening to a program about Africa's history before colonization. What is our history before we were colonized?
Who were we?
Who were we, Nyani, before the white man came to Africa? Before we were told the narrative that we are being told namhlanje, about the banking systems, about the spiritual systems, about everything. And I want to be one of those people who are going to question that and also go on a journey to find that. Because our Victor told us that we must abandon our own culture and adopt his. He told us what you are and who you are is barbaric. You're not supposed to be doing this. They've always taught us to conform. And even when we do, what happens? They're still not happy with that. And that's the one thing we must get about ungrateful people. They will never change. The standards that you think you're going to set for them, it's never going to change. So why try to be like them? Why try to live under their rules? Why play a game that is destined for you to lose? You see, we need to start working from our gift. And how do we do that? Let's start seeking our truth. Let's start seeking our history as blacks, not the history that we are told. And I want to be an advocate for that, dog. And trust me, it's gonna be hard. But like Panyul, the Black Pen, and I quote him, he talked about, we have human libraries. I mentioned this last time. We have human libraries sitting with valuable information. But because now we have to swim through billions and billions of excessive trash information that is teaching us to conform more, to just be consumers and not producers.
And the real ones are being pushed to the back.
Yeah.
The ones you want are being pushed to the back.
They're gonna mute you because they own the media. If they decide that your message doesn't resonate with anything that is a threat to what they're trying to build, then you are gonna be totally alienated. How long must we always have the handbrake on? You're telling me you are gonna forgive the 400 years of slavery, of extortion, of exploitation? You're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna refuse to do that, because the future we want, we created now. We can't always complain of lack, Bongo, lack of this, no leaders, no this. We live in an internet age. But I'm just thinking, there was a time where there were people who believed in the internet, and there were those like millions. It always becomes like that. First they're against you. Then eventually they will be with you. Because this is the betterment of our people, dog. No one can look after us best than Tina. We need to change the scope. The binoculars that we are using to see ourselves is not good. We need economic power. We need political power. Let's seek inyani, dog, for once, for the betterment of our people, Fit. Let's not let money be the center of everything that we do. And I'm relating to something that has to do with the Lion King. Cartoons have a lot of things that are trying to teach us about what's happening. They teach us more than actual people that are acting. Take what is enough. Don't overfeed. Mufasa's reign and Scar's reign, totally different. Why do we keep on demonizing the African way? Yet when women gave birth, there were older women who knew how to do cutting up of the birth canal and all those things. The African knew all those things without all these Western medicines and injections and whatever you want to call it. We had a way of living that was aligned to nature, and then we were westernized. We place religion above culture. Why does Ethiopia have a different calendar to the rest of Africa and the world? They are still living by the real black calendar. These are things that we need to seek, but cognitive dissonance it's expected. This happened to me too. And just remember, I'm still climbing, dog. But I had to unlearn in order to learn. Hence, I'm not saying believe this for yourself. No. Go seek it out. Because we are too preoccupied about arguing whether this is true or not. And we don't do the work. We don't seek out the information, dog. Because there's this cluster of bullshit information surrounding us that keeps on informing us about let's conform. Isn't it funny that the colonizer needs the colonized? If we don't buy from them, where is their money gonna come from? I heard something about in the States, black people spend over $1.61 trillion a year. What happens when that money goes constructively to things that are gonna build the black community? And just remember, blacks are the minority in America. There are more white people than black people in America. And you're telling me we can't use our buying power to change our narrative? Who we give our labor and our money to matters more than anything. Tell me about the narrative of imali xa ingena. By the end of the day, you are so stressed about how many stop orders or whatever are coming through. Still, you don't have that money. You're gonna want to spend it at the most expensive shop. Yet you know you don't afford all of that. Why you gonna do that, bruh? You see how we keep hurting ourselves? And we wonder why we're so injured.
And there's no progress.
The progress of it only comes if we are honest. We need to be plenty honest about a lot of things that are not good within our community. And as much as it's easy for us to blame abantu from the outside, how about we also blame ourselves for allowing all these things to happen to us? Yeah? What about the part that we play in allowing all of this to happen to us? We allow our own people to be corrupt. We allow other people to take things from us. We allow other people to come into our country, do crime, and leave like it's no one's business. We allow our judiciary system to have a price. We allow all these things. And we are saying it's okay that kule minyaka yedemocracy, still there is progress. The ANC has done this. What have they done for the seeds that need to be planted? We are talking about the youth. There was a national elections where a majority of the youth boycotted the elections. And the ANC doesn't want to talk about that. What is their investment in the youth? What have they got to show? You see, we need to work with results, man. We need to work with results. And the political space is a whole different space. Watching Hustler's Corner and Panyo on about political literacy, dog, it's important, eh? The ordinary person needs to know what laws are being passed and so on. Did you hear about this COVID-19 bill, whatever? They want to make the regulations permanent. Disaster Act, whatever, what? On how they want to enforce the laws of lockdown and make it a permanent result of us.
Resulting in everyone having a vaccine.
Dog, yeah, there are a lot of things that need to be unpacked, and our leaders are making decisions for us without even us having any consent or any contribution towards the opinion or the outcome of even those decisions. Are you gonna forget about that, dog, and say, nah, that doesn't affect me? I can't do any good, my lord. Because that's a reality we all face, man. And in this world, if you don't look out for yourself, nobody is. Hence, it's important for me to constantly look for people, dog, who are gonna take this movement forward. Because I think, we've been sleeping too much on ourselves and looking too much on the outside, expecting external forces to have this Messiah kind of leniency. Who has been lenient to us throughout history? No one is lenient to you when they want to take things from you. Because obviously when you want to take something from someone, the main emphasis is and if you're going to come with goodness. And when you come with goodness and you see, this doesn't work, then eventually you're going to come hard. And we need to talk about this thing that Africa was invaded, dog. African people by nature are full of humanity. That is built into us. But that can also be our weakness. How do you get infiltrated? By being too humble. These people come to a point where they can infiltrate and take what you own. How did the Europeans own land in Africa, man? None of those issues are being talked about. Just want to accept Jesus Christ and all these things. Don't want to question anything, dog. But who gets affected the most? Black people. Want to glorify on how badly we are doing, dog. And we don't have this sense of unionship, of helping one another. And when someone does something good, as Tiban, we don't make it something to celebrate about. No. We try means to dismantle that person's success and let that person fall down. We all combine, in trauma, and so on. You see our attitude. It's messed up. It's not ours. Africans don't think that way. Africans will always consider other Africans and I don't believe this thing of us South Africans hurting Zimbabweans and all that. That has external forces. You don't just wake up and you don't want to live around your brother. No, there are external forces there, dog. Because if we don't love ourselves, we're gonna find problem with everything that's around us. And if the African was at peace with who he was, you think the moment you are dissatisfied with how things are, the first thing you're gonna think is hurt your brother? Because that is what the colonialists want you to do. They want you to amidst chaos amongst your other, so that there will be peace amongst your people. They are going to benefit of the spoils. They're going to provide weapons and all those things that are going to require the war to continue. They're going to fund both sides and so on. Because is economics. And here when you are busy feeling sorry for them while they're out to exploit you. Why do they come to Africa? Cheap labor, dog. Cheap labor. Because they know it's a huge market. It's a huge market. And Africa must not be just known for its labor. We have intellectuals in Africa. We have leaders in Africa. We have people that are contributing to society in a productive way. But because the West controls the global narrative, then we think if you don't live according to their standards, there is no standards at all. Why can't you, be celebrated at an arts gallery in Paris? Why do you have to fit the social European norms in order for you to be accepted? Why can't you live your truth? Because you are living from your gift and your work is working through your gift. And Africa needs to be appreciated for that. This is not a jungle, bruh. We are people too. We need to be demanding to be treated like people. And we need to act like it. Because people are always going to treat us on how we act. The African man and woman needs to bring their dignity back to themselves. This reliance on others is going to hurt us. Because that reliance we could have built doing what? Sustaining our relationships as people. But now we're succeeding, you are not in good terms with your family and so on, and you think that money is going to stay. We must be careful of abandoning our ways and adopting other people's ways, and we think these ways are going to be good for us. They're not. Yeah, they might work, but we don't consider that in adopting their ways, we are dropping our ways behind. And eventually, it won't work out. The African ways. That's why I use my mom as guidance each and every opportunity. I ask her to guide me through the things that are seen or unseen. Because I tell you all the time, Bongo, there are those who are making plans about you and your life. They want you to give up. They want to block you from what God has for you. And we get so caught up in the narratives of religion tells you to do this. But when it comes to interpretation of that, it's a totally different thing. When I read something about Steve Biko talking about Christianity having so great values, but the interpretation of those values, you can't oppress someone in the name of Jesus Christ. So it was a tool already that was used. Yes, in the first place. It's a tool, bruh.
If you come this far on the podcast, thank you very much for listening and growing with us. This is such an impeccable journey for me. Let us continue.
Yo, bro, power. Ooh, raising Canaan. I told myself I'm gonna finish power before I start singing. But I was like, I don't care anymore. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Yo! The way it's making me love every character fit, even those members who believe in power. I'm like, no, man, this is why we turn to Tyreek. Was raised the same way.
And look at how Tyreek.
Tata K Kingpin, Mama K Kingpin. This is why
imagine Umchana waqala ena 12 years on the show. Years later on, he is the main character in the story. Yeah. He was on book 2. He is the main one, Galok, as the story goes.
Power. Raising Canaan, episode 8.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Damn.
But like a lot of people have been wanting to plug in Glory, and I tell them, I keep it.
Yeah, bro, like,
doesn't it inspire you about like your B7 universe as well?
Bro, like in Bonsai Excel, I see limitations of what I can fucking do, bro. Cause when I wake up like, okay, this is nice. And I know it's my first celebrity or whatever. Don't do the answer.
But it felt there's something different to it. It felt like you had done it for the first time. It's like you unlocked a level.
Well, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, yeah. What do I do next? That's fucking pressure. But I was having fun at Khaled. Your mom wants this fucking pressure. But I said, okay, I have to. But nah, nigga.
Return to that. Yeah. Return to that having fun. Because now I think when I enjoy Izinto, I think they are going to be more centered on me enjoying the experience and what I'm going to gain from it, rather than, okay, I wanted to look so perfect. I wanted to, because when my mind, even when I try to like record something and my mind is centered on, okay, how will someone onje would receive it? And then I just think, nah, man, let me drop all those expectations and remember that I'm having fun. And at the end of the day, I'm just spreading this love, yeah, boy, in any kind of way that I'm, yeah, boy, find myself possible. So I think that's one of the most important thing. We get to be in our mojo when we have least expectations of what we are supposed to do, and we just let the flow just take us wherever. Because when you have expectations, now there are certain outcomes that you must carry out, and then now all of a sudden you're gonna tie it the emotional stances, and if you don't reach that stance, and then next thing you can spiral down, even am I even good enough? It will insinuate other negative aspects of yourself, other than if you had decided, okay, let me just accept the way it is, and since it's I don't need to make myself feel bad about that, because the next day you're gonna get in even more inspired level, or even where you're gonna be strong enough to go and like reflect on how you felt when you were at your lowest. Because I do get that sometimes, but you didn't perform the best that you could. Only because I'm at a higher stance, you cannot be able to do that once you're going through that. And I think sometimes we beat ourselves too much in wanting to figure it out while it's happening. Gandhi, we need to experience that and let that happen. Then when we get into a reflective state, then we're going to have an ability to back at that higher stance. It's like getting up the mountain so that you can see the view better. You don't get to see the view when you are at a lower level. But once you start to climb yourself, hence the importance of enjoying the climb, because that is what you're going to do always. You're going to climb. So why not make climbing the most beautiful thing that you can ever do, because it's something that you're going to constantly have to be faced with. And I think that's the beauty, is that you get to be hard, and then you be like, you shake that hardness off and be like, nah, this is cool. And I think that is a side that we need to visit, like personally, as people, especially about ourselves and our own characters, is that we cling so much into our successes or certain ways that we think the world deems us to be, and we let those aspects rule us. But sometimes I'm saying, let go. When you let go, then it will find you. It's the same thing of you constantly trying to trace this adrenaline and so on. But if you decide to instead attract it, work yourself out. And I think we don't understand that we are always work in progress. We have this societal expectation that is bearing on us, that when you're this age, you must have this kind of thing figured out. But when I hear Gary Vee and him talking about his entropial journey and all those kind of things, it's like, it's a reassurance. Mamela, you still at baby phase. You don't have to have things figured out. But snale pressure that we are being put under. We have our parents here. We have our peers here. We have our teacher. We have and another thing that a lot of older people sometimes don't get is these are different pressures. And I think sometimes when we need to spend time with the younger generation who have this instinct about having to follow what social media tells them, and try to understand, because there is one interview I saw about a youngster telling these older people to say, you guys didn't grow up in the social media age. Hence it's important for other older people to be open to what temptations exist now to the times that they were there. Remember, technology was evolving at that time. Now it's totally different. We're dealing with algorithms now. It's different devils now, which require new levels. You see, so the tools that they are using, they can't be ancient. We need to use the tools of the now, because we created these things. We need to account for the part that we played in that. We made these things. The reason why things are this way is because of us. And I think accountability is one of the most important things that you can ever do in any aspect of your life, if you are serious about changing it. But like I said, I just want to inspire. I just want to ignite something in us so that we can start working from our gift. I know it's going to be hard. I know we're going to lose people, and sometimes you even think you're going to lose yourself. But it's reassurance, and the universe just has a way of always reminding you about you're on the right path. You're on the right path. You're on the right path. Like I said, OQP, only quality people. Imagine the amount of work we could do if we continue this kind of way, dog. And I want the Almighty to bless me with a sustainable income, so that I can get other monkeys off my back.
So I can move faster.
Yeah, because now it's speed and efficiency now, dog. It's speed and efficiency,
It's like get with the times or get off. This is so different, though. But I wouldn't say I relate, because I can't relate to a history I don't know. Okay, I know it, but I've never been there.
And I can't relate to history because
imagine
it's what I've been taught. It's lendo siqelelwayo.
Imagine at the time, Zabalazo, everyone was united, bro. Like this guy, I don't think there's Zabalapa. I'm not trying. I don't know.
It's Tuesday.
I don't know. We were gonna be somewhere, bro. Like and they asked, like I would like to go and take a spaceship and just enter Landa to see how it was. Because all we see is pictures and we don't really know. Like, okay, Gunjan. Okay, Umakulwam once painted me a picture by S03E12. And then he babene towel, but he was fagepa. So for the gas, I was like, yo,
What?
And yes, I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but Lendo had a town
Nah,
involved.
it's not about wrong, Fit. It's all about you recalling what you were told.
Bro.
Because I'm basically thirsty for these conversations, especially with like the older people.
Bro.
Because when I was being taught history at school, I knew I was a good history student, but I had this tendency of asking nga payana. That's the other thing. Because I think I kind of got my instinct there to say, nah, man, there's more than meets the story. It's like there is a selected version of what we are being told. And what they thought they hid away was not hidden. It was out in the open. It's just that Tina, we need to be aware. Mamela, in within the lies, there's fragmentations. So me is trying to study history is me trying to erase the mystery.
Yeah, bro. Like at the time in Barcelona's story, like I could imagine everything, bro. Like like amacingo, like umdebe jinge cingweni elide. Cause baleka amapolisa. Ngena endlini. Yo, bro, like if ungumntana wemhlambi wesikolo kukho amapolisa. Khakha ungena endlini yazingelisa, bro. Like I was like, yo, bro. Yeah, like it was a different time.
They come from hard times.
You, bro.
Yes, I wish
Sijonge selfish kanjani bo. Yo, selfish and self-centered.
It's practically been the most hardest time ubangumntana omnyama, and I partially feel guilty about my grandfather and him passing on at an age where I think I got a glimpse of what he had to offer, because he was a teacher of more than 30 years. And my grandfather used to call me Mastankonyan. And this dude, I didn't understand why my grandfather would see so much greatness in me, but I think it literally had to be angabiko for me to see, but okay, there's a reason why he was calling me that. And he was trying to ignite in me, but you are a master of your destiny, and your life is your making, man. And I've mentioned in season 1 of the podcast about how he asked me, am I going to really sit here and feel sorry for myself, or am I going to try to figure out a way to get back into the saddle? Because I was in two minds. Do I face my failures, or do I constantly keep on avoiding them? Because just remember, Vetu, the decision you make after you failed is the one that will make or break you. And sometimes we are cowards of our own failures. We are responsible for our failures the same way we are responsible for our success. So I say rest in power to my granddad, and for him seeing greatness in me, and for him every moment that he got and asked me what happened at school, what did you learn. He was someone who was very politically literate. He was a teacher who was very well informed about what he wanted and how the country to be run. But like everyone, we all have our mistakes, but we need to keep our basekona, like your grandmother, like your mother and all that. Like we need to entice them and ask them these questions, because they can't assume that we want to ask them until we get to be in a position where we ask them. So I think there's this constant conflict that we as young Africans are in, because when we don't ask Ababandu who've lived through and we believe what we are being told, and I think
we have a story to tell ourselves.
Exactly, dog. Obviously, Gogo, we send our kids to school in fear, it's not set by abantu babo. It's not set by abantu who want Liweabo to really go forward, and we need to dismantle this entire system. And it says I've been a detail to learn. This system is doing good for nobody. Because the Almighty did not create us with our uniqueness for us to have quarrels and fight and all these things. We came on earth to prosper. Let us prosper the same way that others are prospering as well. Let us talk about how the Arabs were the first one to come up with slavery. Not the white people. Bona, they came up with the economic means. Let's talk about how Africans were enslaving other Africans as well. Because they were forced to conspire against their own people. Let's talk about the fact that we as African people, we do not have a back that we can say we have of our own. Let's talk about how all these liberation movements were infiltrated by people from the outside because they could see how powerful these organizations could be. Let's talk about Black Power movement, the Black Panthers. Let's get into spaces where we are not afraid of being proud of our blackness. Why do you have to contain yourself about expressing who you are? You are black by nature.
The importance of using our family's influence not only to your advantage here, but vice versa.
Bongo, wouldn't you like to live in a reality where you are creating a wealth system in such a way that that wealth just doesn't belong to you, but it also belongs to your family, because you have a name that's attached to you. You are not just Bongo. There's a surname that you represent. And I love that as Africans, I think that is one thing we can distinguish that's different from us and Europeans, is that we have a spiritual system that we can relate to. We didn't have to make anything up. And when we seek these ways, especially the ways that our forefathers had lived, that is us seeking ourselves. There's something I heard that said, when a mother gives birth, she doesn't give birth to a child, she also gives birth to herself. Which is right here sitting on your face could be the nose of your great-grandfather. You might not know it, but somehow, somewhere, maybe the universe can send you someone who can depict that and say, hey, do you know that nose that you're sitting on your face is the nose of so-and-so who are so great in so ways? How does that change your perspective in terms of being powerful? Because what we are fed eventually manifests in action. What we choose to believe is based on what information we are exposed to mostly. And sometimes we fill ourselves with so much bullshit that is not going to do us any good. But instead, it conforms us even further into the lies. So when you see conformity, I think you're going to have to bear the consequences of conforming. So when you make the bed, you need to lie in it. And I can't be a prisoner of my thoughts, especially those that no longer serve me. So we need to question ourselves with every opportunity that we do get, and tell ourselves that this is not how things are out to be. And being men of action is going to require a lot of things. Sometimes you're going to have to go against the current, but eventually there is fruit that will be bared out of all this hard work. So Bongo, you are a true reminder that you are not alone. And sometimes when things are going bad, we convince ourselves of things that don't exist in the first place, because we want to further convince ourselves into this loophole and convince ourselves that we are unworthy of anything that we have. And we forget our true nature, and that is to create. What capability can we not get over, especially if we are invested in enriching knowledge? Knowledge that betters the people. And this fight is a fight we're going to continue fighting. And we, like a relay race, are going to have to pass on the baton. Are you also conscious that you are building something that you are also going to pass on? Whether what fabrication that is made out of is totally up to you. But this is me trying to place emphasis on our thoughts and how they matter and how they make up our world, and how even you having all that the world deems success and you still feel there's something missing. Some are rich, some are very poor. The gap keeps on increasing, and no one wants to address that. We can't be finding intelligent ways to extract from our people. What good is that going to do us? So we need to be very young and conscious people, and we cannot believe the lie and still lie in it. And it's questions that we don't ask ourselves. Regardless of whatever happens, Bongo, I'm gonna do what I am gonna do. I don't want this reality, and it has to stop eventually. But yeah, my nigga.
Welcome yet again to the Motivational Maniac podcast. I'd like to thank each and everyone who's been with us this entire season. As we approach the season finale, I'd like to be grateful to myself first of all. With this podcast, I have broken my own limits. I have faced my own fears, and for plenty more that's on the way. I cannot give credit to myself only, but to everyone who showed support, and each and every person who has taken their time to show gratitude and also appreciation for the work that I do. Everything will happen in due time, but most importantly, I'm thankful for each and every guest as well who got to be on the podcast. They got to relieve and also be a part of my personal journey. It wouldn't have been possible if I didn't leave myself vulnerable. So I thank you, and until next time.